cómo darte cuenta que estás con una persona equivocada y sobre todo, cuáles son esas señales de alerta al principio de una relación que uno debería de atender. Marc Katz es un dating coach. A eso se dedica en Estados Unidos. Él está en Los Ángeles. Seguramente muchos de ustedes ya lo conocen. Él tiene una página que se llama evanmarckatz.com y tiene un programa para ayudarle, fíjense bien, a las mujeres que son independientes, fuertes, autosuficientes, capaces, líderes, a encontrar el amor. Y entonces el día de hoy nos va a dar los 10 red flags, o sea, las 10 banderas rojas cuando empiezas a salir con alguien. My friend, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me back, Martha. It's good to be here.
Okay, so 10 signals that you should pay attention to if you're starting to date a guy. So you say, number one, if he's married, forget it.
Yeah, I actually just did a podcast about this recently, and I had a client tell me how much she loves married guys. Like for the past 10 years, she's just dated a series of married guys because they're so romantic. They're so into her. The problem is they're always a dead end. The married guy never leaves his wife. And if he does leave his wife, what is the one thing you know about him? He's a cheater.
Of course. So if he's married, that's absolutely a red flag off the table.
Unless you want to be a lifelong mistress, if that's your goal, then you could achieve that goal. But I don't think that's where most people want to land.
Claro. And you know what we said on the show so many times about dating married men? Having a secondary relationship shows you a lot about how that person deals with problems, how that person deals with uncomfortable situations, talks about his value system. So it says a lot about a person. And I'm not judging. I mean, you can be married and fall in love with somebody else. That's one thing. But when you're a serial lover, then we have a huge problem.
People have an amazing tendency to overlook these things from the very, very beginning because we're so caught up in the throes of attraction and excitement. We meet someone new. We put all our hopes and dreams on them because it's such a horrible shit show out there. So that when we finally find someone that seems exciting to us, we cast all reason aside. And the next thing you know, you're in love with someone who's fatally flawed. So what we want to do is identify these fatal flaws in the first few weeks of dating so that you don't have to deal with them a couple of years down the road.
Okay, number two, why do you say a red flag is a long distance relationship?
Here's the thing about long distance relationships. Very much like the married man relationship, they are exciting because they're mostly fantasy. It's really easy to have a relationship with someone that you never see. There's nothing to fight about. You're not integrating your lives. So every time you see each other, it's kind of vacation love. So you, Martha, could fall in love with a guy in Los Angeles. And for a guy in Los Angeles, that might be the perfect relationship because it's a low stakes, low investment relationship. He doesn't have to listen to you after a hard day. He doesn't have to accommodate you on a Saturday night to go down to your mom's place. It's a relationship based on freedom. And here's the big part. Two big things that get in the way of long distance relationships. Number one, you don't know if it's real until you're actually together full time. And number two, someone actually has to uproot their life in order for the relationship to work. Yeah. So why choose something where those two conditions are there when I promise you there is a guy within 20 miles of your house where neither of you have to go through that?
Oh, and that doesn't mean that they haven't been long distance relationships that have actually worked.
My sister's married to a long distance relationship. I just discourage it because all relationships are high risk. Long distance add 2 levels of risk.
Exacto. Okay. Number 3. Oh my God. Este les va a doler, cuentavientes. He is separated. Está separado.
It's funny. I just have a client who's dating a separated guy. And here's the hard part. Separated is, right, it's one step removed from being married, but it's not yet divorced. The fear with the separated guy is not that he's going to go back to his ex-wife. He's not going back to his ex-wife. That's why they're getting divorced. The real problem is he's lonely. He's reinventing his life. There's a big void where his wife used to be, and it's a hole to fill in his life. And so you're the first person who comes along, and he's going to be really excited about you. But as you're thinking, oh, this relationship is going somewhere, right? Oh, it's a year and a half in. What's going to happen to us? He's just signing his divorce papers. So you're wanting to get married, and he's like, I just got divorced today. So the problem is not the separated man himself. It's that you're on different timelines generally.
Oh my God. I've never thought of it. You are on two different timelines. You're absolutely right. Okay. Number 4. He just got divorced.
There's no black mark on being divorced. Being divorced is very often the wisest decision to make when you're in a broken marriage. It's that you're by definition on the rebound, and you only know what didn't work for you in your relationship. You haven't really explored what will work for you. So a lot of people who are freshly divorced or dating for the first time in many years, they need to explore, they need to experiment, they need to make mistakes, they need to have good and bad sex, they need their freedom. Similar with the separated people, they're just not necessarily on the timeline. And if you're the first relationship after the divorce, chances are you're not going to be the last relationship.
Oh my God. 100% agree with you. Okay. Oh my God. I'm gonna skip. Okay, I'm gonna put it in 1. He has addiction problems. He has mental health issues, and he doesn't know what he wants. Let's do the 3 in 1.
That's quite a challenge. So I think when you're looking at a relationship, it's like the Titanic, right? It's this big thing. It's bigger than you. The problem is one iceberg could sink it. And so that's the thing, is you could be sympathetic to someone who's dealing with mental health issues or alcohol or addiction issues. There's no judgment. It's that because they don't have a firm foundation for their life, it's very dangerous to try to build your life onto that person. Parallel that with someone who comes from a broken family, went through 2 divorces, doesn't have much confidence in the faith of in the institution of marriage. If you are looking for something real for the next 30, 40 years, that is also a high-risk situation to get involved with someone who's already told you at the very beginning that they don't plan on ending up at the same place that you do.
Yeah. Okay, this one is lovely. Let's talk about the breadcrumb guy.
Definition of breadcrumb is the guy who gives you just enough effort to think, oh, this guy's really interested in me, but never actually follows through. He's leaving you breadcrumbs, but he never gives you the whole meal. And so there's a lot of people who are not bad people. They are confused. They are ambivalent. They don't know if they're emotionally available. They don't know what they're looking for. So they're kind of in and they're kind of out. And in Love You, my signature course, I let women know you are the CEO. He is the intern. And if the intern doesn't really want the job that bad, you need to let go of the intern.
Oh my God. And last but not least, he says he doesn't want to get married. He's not sure about that, or he's not sure or is sure he doesn't want to have kids. Why is that a red flag?
I think there are plenty of things in relationships that people can compromise on, right? You cook the meal, he does the dishes, he leaves his socks out. Some person makes more money than the other person. There's all forms of compromise. There's no compromise between being married and not being married and having kids and not having kids. So it's getting clarity at the very beginning of the relationship that you want the same thing and that you're on the same path. Because if you're not, you could deeply fall in love with someone and have irreconcilable differences when it's time for the moment of truth. And I wouldn't want any woman to date a maybe guy, right? Oh, maybe one day I'll want it. Maybe with the right person, I'll want it. And then 2 years later, discover he's like, nah, my maybe's a no. And now you've just invested ages 37 to 39 with that guy. I would just rather choose a guy who's very clear in what he's looking for.
Claro. A ver, es que hay que escoger a una persona que tiene muy claro lo que quiere. Y puedes no querer casarte y puedes tener muy claro que no quieres tener hijos. Pero eso es algo que a lo que uno no puede renunciar. Nadie puede pedirte que renuncies a tus sueños y tú no puedes pedir a nadie que renuncie a los suyos. Y lo importante es, muy temprano hay que tener claridad que los dos quieren la misma cosa y no creer que a lo mejor un par de años, ya cuando llegue el momento de la verdad, te salga con esta sorpresa. O que creas erróneamente que con tu amor y con tu convencimiento vas a lograr que se quiera casar contigo o vas a lograr que quiera tener un hijo contigo. Si ustedes están en una relación con estos hombres de tal vez algún día quiera, tal vez me quiera casar, tal vez sí quiero ser papá, están tomando un riesgo absolutamente innecesario que a lo mejor algunos años después, cuando se den cuenta que sí iba en serio y que no estaba nada claro de lo que quería, les parte el corazón. Entonces, hay que estar en una relación en donde desde el principio los dos vayan hacia el mismo camino. So, final thoughts. Give us a lovely speech to all the women out there listening.
I think there's a lot of trouble in the world today. I don't think that's terribly controversial. And the big story that I'm hearing from my end as a coach for women is that there's no good men out there. Everything sucks. Men suck. Mexico City sucks. Dating apps suck. Here's the thing. It's not true. It's a version of events, but it's not the full version of events. Even if 90% of men are definitely not your guy, that leaves 10% of men. If 10% of men are good husband material, how many do you need? You need one. And so if we can, per today's conversation, eliminate these guys in the first few weeks of dating, then you don't have to waste any more time on guys who are obviously going to be disappointments. You could see the signs early on.
Claro. Entonces, piensen que si ustedes ponen atención a todas estas alertas, en las primeras semanas, en los primeros meses de empezar a conocer a alguien, pueden tomar decisiones mucho más sanas para su futuro, pueden dejar de estar perdiendo el tiempo en hombres que no son para ustedes, para invertirlo en encontrar al que sí es perfecto para tener una relación. Evan, thank you so much. I send you a big kiss, my friend. Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you, as always.
As always, dear.